I want to talk about atheism. Atheism, those people who deny the existence of God. Believers, on the other hand, often use very weak arguments when they debate with atheists. Atheists argue that religion is the cause of most violence in the world and has been for thousands of years. Not just killing people of other religions, but killing each other. Catholics kill Protestants, Sunni kill Shia. However, one could counter-argue that the worst mass killers in history, Hitler, Stalin, Pol Pot, Mao, were in no way religious, quite the contrary. It's not religion that is at fault, but rather people who use religion for their own ends, for power rather than for God. There is no area of human activity I can think of, no ideal or dream, that has not been systematically plundered and destroyed by its most faithful adherents in the pursuit of power and triumph. It doesn't matter whether it's football, politics, art, music, or even tiddlywinks. When humans get involved, they fight over the most petty of things, they argue over details, they turn everything into a power struggle where the original goals and dreams become distorted. And it's the same with religion, with synagogue affairs. Power and money do bad things to almost every institution. Religious people tend to argue that, in general, religious people are better human beings, and religions have brought more good than evil to the world. It might be argued that way, but no one has yet done a survey to prove it. On the contrary, religious people seem just as good or bad as most other people of a similar social class in a similar situation. They argue that no one has yet come up with a better basic moral code for society than the so-called Ten Commandments. But the atheist would counter again that the Ten Commandments didn't do much to restrain Hitler. I do believe that humans need a moral system that overrides human ingenuity, the tendency of humans to justify whatever they want to do. As Hobbes said, humans left to their own devices are nasty and brutish, and more intelligent are capable of justifying almost anything. It was once said of a famous philosopher that the higher the brow, the lower the loins. But still, the contribution of morality neither proves the existence of God, nor does it make up for the sins of religion any more than do great works of architecture, built on the bodies of thousands, or great art, or great music. If it were simply that atheists attacked religious abuse or credulity, I'd be with them most of the way. But the weakness of their position lies in the arrogance of claiming to know for certain what is not. Agnosticism, saying, I don't know, I'm open, is one thing. It's reasonable to say that one doesn't know anything about what people call God, and has had no direct experience of anything spiritual or divine. That one imagines death to be the end, like falling asleep. I can understand that. I don't agree with it. But to say, I know there is absolutely nothing else in the universe beyond what I experience, to say there is no such thing as God, is to arrogate the very omniscience they complain about in believers. If believers are guilty of wishful thinking, atheists are guilty of wishful doubting. Imagine I said to you, there's no such thing as love. I can understand physical attraction, I understand what we mean by sex, but love is a myth. It doesn't make any sense, it's responsible for countless deaths, for agony and torture. You would laugh and say, well, clearly you've never been in love. Indeed, to someone who has never experienced God, it's as meaningless to try to describe the taste of butter for someone who's never tasted it, as it is to try to explain the feeling of God. Impossible, of course, but it doesn't mean to say that butter doesn't have a taste or that God doesn't exist. Atheists love to make fun of religious rituals. They're an easy target, but then so too are all conventions, all rituals and ceremonials of royalty, of clubs, of society, of armies, of parades. Most human rules and regulations are petty and infuriating. It's easy to make fun of a gentleman who shows courtesy to a lady, or indeed eating with a knife and fork instead of fingers. If it's claimed that there are ceremonies like male circumcision, totally different, by the way, from female circumcision, that they impose inestimable psychological and physical damage on defenseless children, I would argue that our societies do much more lasting damage in the civil, secular way by allowing people to get married without preparation, by imposing parental neurosis on innocent children, not to mention corporal punishment, child abuse, or the death penalty. And if we balk at seeing animals slaughter, then we ought to ban all killing of all animals for human food and be done with. But until we do, and until we have irrefutable scientific evidence of pain experienced rather than guesswork, which we don't yet, it cannot be used as an argument against religion alone. For the past 100 years or so, the most serious battle between atheists and believers has been the issue of creation. Atheists have argued that science in general, and evolution more specifically, can explain the creation of the world, the universe. Recently, the well-known atheist philosopher Antony Flew recanted. In his book, There Is a God, he concludes that the world is far too complex and awe-inspiring, impressive, to have come about by accident or random or by any of the evolutionary theories that have all so far failed the test of the missing link. That is to say, that period of transition from one stage in evolution to the next. The odds are such that randomness fails when compared to intelligent design. I'm not impressed, because even if one agrees it looks as if there were intelligent design, we still know nothing logically or scientifically about what it was that designed the world. In other words, we're still left with the question, what is God? On the other hand, what it does show is that atheism, far from having a coherent alternative, still does not. And therefore, it's a matter of experience, of feeling, of faith, not of logic. Debate is healthy. Religious fundamentalists tend to be both arrogant and intellectually sloppy. So a good challenge is necessary. But the challengers need to be pricked too. False arguments are not going to do it. I do not believe there is a watertight proof of the existence of God. But that doesn't mean to say God does not exist. It doesn't mean to say my feelings and experiences are false or fake. Empirical, physical, or scientific proofs are for the physical world, not the spiritual world. The spiritual world is one of different experiences. Even if in the past great minds did think they had rational proofs of the existence of God, I don't, in all humility, believe they work to the modern mind. But God can survive absence of proof, just as much as love can defy logic. Thank goodness most of us continue to fall head over heels in love at least once in our lives.